Happy Thanos Thursday, everybody. Today we are taking a look at a control deck based around using Legion's ability to manipulate the zones. So the deck is pretty powerful. It has a lot of great plays, and the son of Charles Xavier is a pretty strong card. Who would have guessed it, right? Like father, like son. They're very strong. But for those who don't know, Legion is insane. And so he does a lot of insane things, just like in this game. He can do some pretty crazy stuff and create some very fun plays. But we need to talk about all the cards in the deck first before we talk about Legion. So, first things first, the very first one power card we are playing is Sunspot because we are trying to lock down locations and make it so the opponent can't play there. We want to put down the Sunspot with his nice little ability that allows him to gain +1 power after each turn for each unspent energy. So Sunspot is pretty strong in the fact that if you lock down all the zones by turn 6 and you're losing that one zone by less than 6, all you have to do is in turn, and Sunspot will win you that game. And then next up, we have Nebula. After each turn, your opponent doesn't play a card here. She gains +2 power. Again, that goes back to locking down those zones using cards like Storm, etc., and just controlling where your opponent plays the cards because they'll play a lot of things on Nebula, but we also have the next card, White Widow. White Widow gives your opponent a Widow's Kiss. The Widow's Kiss is a -4 unless your opponent has 4 cards in that location. So now they have to deal with either we're giving Nebula power or we're going to deal with putting cards on the White Widow, right? So they have to make that choice, and it allows you to control where your opponent plays some of their cards throughout the game. And then our next card, Jeff, needs no explanation, right? Jeff is the best card in the game, right? He is the most played card in the game. You can move him one time and you can play him wherever you want. Does not matter. You can move him wherever you want. Jeff is the man, and he's very crucial if you're locking down locations and making it so your opponent can't play. You want to put down a Jeff on turn 6 if you know you've already locked all the locations using Legion and Storm combo. It's kind of important to be able to put down a 2-3 and surprise the opponent. You could play him on a Professor X. There's so many things you could do with Jeff. Play him on the Storm zones, etc. And then we have our little trickster, Magik. Magik is the card everybody should have a pretty familiar understanding of. It replaces the location that it's played on with Limbo, and you can't do it after turn 5. So Limbo obviously gives you 7 turns, but that's the trick. You're usually not going to play 7 turns. You don't want the game to last that long. So Magik is more one of those cards where you're tricking your opponent into thinking you're going to get 7 turns, but you'll use one of your other cards to change it. And if things aren't going well, maybe you'll need all 7 turns. You never know. So Magik is a pretty fun little card. And next up, another Omega level mutant. Now that I'm looking at the deck list, there are 2 at least Omega level mutants in this deck with Storm and Legion. So Storm floods the location. Next turn, cards cannot be played there. Amazing. Card is especially amazing as of today's recording because there is the hot zone that gives you +1 each turn as long as you don't have a card there. So that means you can storm on turn 2 thanks to that location. So it's pretty good. So you'll see that a little bit in the gameplay at the end. But overall, Storm is a pretty good card. You can turn 4 Storm, then turn 5 Legion, and then turn 6 you can blink, etc. There's a lot of cool plays you can do. So Storm is used to help control the game, lock down locations, and obviously if you have Storm in a zone where you have Sunspot and Nebula, you'll get the pluses even though your opponent can't play anything else there, unless they're using Jeff, of course. And then our next card is the giant man himself, Juggernaut. So Juggernaut moves all of the enemy cards played there that turn. Unrevealed, revealed, does not matter. Whatever your opponent played in that location that turn, he will punch into another zone. He runs straight through and knocks all the cards somewhere else because he is the Juggernaut. So he is very useful for locking down locations. A very common combo would be Storm into Juggernaut, etc. Things you've all seen before, right? This deck isn't doing anything too new. It's just using the newer cards to make sure you achieve your goals easier. And then next up we have Iron Lad. Not Iron Man, but Iron Lad. So Iron Lad is an honor reveal that copies the text of the top card of your deck. So that will give you more chances to hit things like Magik and Storm. And of course, Legion, Blink, War Machine. Pretty much everything it can hit is really good off of this. Like I don't think there's any bad card I would be mad about hitting with the Iron Lad in this deck. I originally was going to include Howard the Duck in the deck so I could have even more control and just use that Iron Lad to make sure I'm hitting Storm, make sure I'm hitting Legion, etc. Then I was like, you know what? Pretty much all of these cards are amazing. I'm okay with hitting any of them, and then I don't have to play the crappy Howard the Duck, right? I don't have to play the bad card. So Iron Lad is there just to get your bonus effects. You know, a big 4/6 Jeff is pretty good, right? Him gaining power if your opponent doesn't play is pretty good. And of course, him copying Legion is amazing. And then, of course, we have talked about locking down locations, not being able to play cards in certain locations. So we are trying to use War Machine, my favorite Marvel character. Okay, so I had to put him in here just for that reason alone and to help lock down these locations and make sure everything is going according to plan. And of course, get a surprise. Oh, you Professor X. Well, here's a Hulk on your Professor X. Red Hulk. Sorry. On your Professor X. We are here. We are playing cards. I'm not scared, you know? So, War Machine is included in the deck. It worked out pretty well. If you watch the videos, there were a few times where I did actually run into Professor X, and the War Machine was amazing. And because it is the Blink season, we still have a Blink in the deck. And Blink honestly gives you a different element to the control and how you play the deck because it'll allow you to blink cards on a zone that you cannot play on anymore and swap them out for the guaranteed bigger cards. That is why I included Red Hulk in the deck. So let's say you War Machine turn 4 after you Storm. Turn 5 you can blink him into either Legion or Red Hulk if you don't have them in your hand. And that is insane to guarantee that Legion and lock down all the zones, right? So you've tricked your opponent into thinking they can play anywhere, and then you just blink War Machine into Legion, and now you've locked down every zones, or you slammed a Red Hulk on a zone that you have locked down, and you've pretty much guaranteed that zone at that point. So Blink is a pretty good combo card. This is a very combo-based deck. With the changes coming to Leech tomorrow, I'm a little less worried about losing to Leech type decks, etc. So I'm excited to continue testing this. And of course, we've mentioned him a million times. He is the background image for this video. The man Legion. He is an Omega level mutant. He has split personalities. You never know who you're going to deal with. He is certified insane in the membrane. And yeah, he is the son of Professor Charles Xavier. Professor X is his daddy, and he's got daddy issues. All right. So Legion is very powerful in this deck, replacing every zone with the ones that he is played on. So if you play him on Storm, you're going to flood all the zones. If you play him anywhere and you have Magik, you are going to delete the Magik and then in the game on turn 6. It's pretty good. You'll surprise the opponent a good bit. They're thinking we got one more turn, so they kind of soft play. Instead of dropping their big card on turn 6, they're waiting for 7, and it ends up costing them the game because turn 7 was deleted. So Legion is a very powerful card for helping you manipulate and control the game. And then our last card is Red Hulk. So we included the Red Hulk in case that we did do the Legion turn 5 play, and then we, turn 6, sorry, we can blink the Legion into Red Hulk. We can blink pretty much anything in the deck into Red Hulk. It all obviously depends on what's in the deck, but it gives you something to blink Legion into and blink War Machine into and blink Iron Man into. So there were quite a few times where you're just looking, you're thinking about the plays, and I was like, you know what? I should definitely include at least 1/6 in here just so I can get the bigger card. And honestly, Hulk or Doom are pretty much the best sixes right now. And Hulk is mind games. Okay, Hulk gives you those mind games because of his ability showing your opponent, hey, I got this red Hulk, and he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger over here. You're not going to win. And sometimes you won't even play the red Hulk. You know, it's complete mind game. Sometimes you'll just Juggernaut 'cause maybe they didn't play it all in one lane. And then the final turn, you're like, I'm just going to Juggernaut and win this lane. Very good stuff. Red Hulk has a lot of power, and the mind games he gives to the deck enables you to further control your opponent's actions and get into their head and make them feel a little crazy like Legion. But I digress. The deck is a ton of fun, and I saw pretty good success with it on the ladder. It did okay in Conquest. I'll say this, you have to make sure you snap and get those wins in Conquest, because the longer it lasts, the more likely you probably are to lose because you're not going to surprise anybody. So it's good in Conquest, but it does a much better on the ladder. I snagged quite a few points on the ladder with this deck and climbed up a little bit, but I have honestly not played the ladder since reaching Infinite. I've played it 1 or 2 times, and there's not much else to say, guys. We're going to jump into the footage. I hope you enjoyed the deck. Check down below for the code. I'm not going to make you type in this deck if you want to try it. The code is down below in the comments, in the description, somewhere. Look for the code. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and check out tomorrow's Free for All Friday.
Wind A my hand. Wind A my hand. Wind A my hand. Wind A my hand. hand up. Wind A my hand. Wind A my hand.